Truly, I tell you, anyone who hears my word and believes in him who sent me has eternal life and will not come under the judgment, but has passed from death to life. Hello and welcome to the Gospel Effect Podcast. I'm Tony, your host. So this episode, I actually got a chance to interview Daisy Paige. Now, you might be asking yourself, who is Daisy Paige? Well, she's the author of the Unexpected Moments book with a foreword by Kirk Cameron. And in today's episode, she actually shares her story of sexual, physical, and emotional abuse, both in her early childhood and as well as into adulthood. And on top of that early trauma, she's been recently diagnosed with a rare terminal neurological condition known as MSA, or multiple system atrophy. Now, MSA is a very rare disease that only affects 4 out of every 100,000 people in the U.S. So, without further ado, let's get into today's interview with Daisy Paige.
Well, I was brought up in a Southern Baptist home here in Texas. Lived in a small town where I was born, and I grew up. Pretty much lived here most of my life. Went to church every Sunday morning, Sunday evening, and Wednesday nights because my mom was the pianist, and I really enjoyed church anyway. I participated in state of Texas Bible drills every year. A couple of those years I won, third place, but one year I won second place, and it's pretty big state of Texas here, so that was something to be really proud of. And I was only like 9.5 years old, but by then I knew the Bible from the front to the back, and I spent my recreational time doing devotions and studying the Bible. I was really interested in that.
Okay.
Um, but when I was about 9, I found out that my stepmom was not my real mom, that my real mom had been killed in a car accident.
Gotcha.
And so, kind of changed things at home because I had already started having this, something's not right kind of feeling.
Yeah.
And I asked them if I was adopted, and they were like, "No, why do you ask that?" And I was like, "I don't know, it's just a feeling I had."
Yeah.
And then like 2 weeks before that, we had a cousin over that was pregnant. Her baby was just kicking like crazy, and I said, "Mama, did I used to kick a lot when I was in your belly?" And she said, "I don't remember." And I'm thinking, well, that's strange.
Yeah.
But anyway, after I found out that my mom was not my real mother, um, my brother started molesting me.
Oh.
He was my older brother, and he said that he was mean to me because it was my fault that our mom got killed, and he was going to continue to be mean to me for that reason. That if I would never have been born, that she would still be alive and he would have his mom. So that went on for 4.5 years.
Yikes.
My aunt caught him the first time, but she just thought it was childhood curiosity. So she took us down and prayed about it, and since she didn't say anything to anybody, I didn't think I was supposed to either. But yet she didn't know it continued. And then when I was 14, he moved out and it stopped, of course. So I was so happy that he moved out.
Yeah.
But I was starting high school, and my boyfriend raped me.
Yikes.
So after that, um, this guy that worked at the store about a couple blocks from the school where we would go for lunch, he asked me out and I turned him down. And back then you could buy cigarettes when you were 5 years old. Things have changed, but
Yeah, that they have.
and being a teenager, smoking cigarettes was a cool thing to do back then. So I started smoking cigarettes, and I found out other girls, he'd asked them out too, but I started having these passing out spells and these like seeing things that weren't really there kind of,
Yeah,
you know, come to find out after I had been in the hospital for a few times for that reason, for the spells that I was having, and an incident of me being in the school band at halftime show. We did a right face, and I saw the band as an army with weapons, and they were after me. So I ran off the football field and through the parking lot and across the street into this lady's bushes and was hiding. Well, my dad was the police officer, and so when the lady called the police and told them that somebody was in her bushes and had something shiny that might be a weapon, my dad showed up at her house and he got the call. So he says, "Come out with your hands up," and whenever he
yeah,
saw it was me, he was like, he knew something was wrong.
yeah,
So he took me to the hospital and they did a spinal tap and they found high levels of LSD and PCP in my system. Well, my dad had witnessed a couple of other girls having the same kind of episodes, and come to find out, we were all asked out by that guy, and we all smoked, or he would give us complimentary the little individual grape or sour apple bubble gums.
yeah,
And he had laced those. They took the cigarettes and pulled all the cigarettes out of the pack. You could even see pinholes from all the needle injections that he had done. So when they went to go and arrest him, he shot at, well, pulled a gun, pointed a gun at a police officer, and so he was shot and killed. And my dad told me about that, and I tried to commit suicide. I had it. I was like, God, why? I've been a devoted Christian. If the worst thing I'm going to do is smoke cigarettes, I'm sorry I smoke cigarettes if that's what I'm being punished for. Um, why is this happening to me? What am I cursed? I just don't understand. And so I just tried to commit suicide, and I was admitted into a mental health center. And so I told the therapist what had happened to me. She had a meeting with my brother and my father. And I told them first about the rape. And my brother got mad and he wanted to know who it was and he wanted to go and beat him up. And I said, "Why are you getting so upset? You did it more for 4.5 years and you did worse than he did. So why are you getting mad at him?" He said, "I only did it one time." So he admitted to doing it one time. But he said it was childhood curiosity because my aunt did, obviously. And he was sent out of the room. And my therapist told my father that, she's not. Well, first of all, my brother said I was delusional. I was getting it mixed up with the rape, and I was crazy because I was in a mental institution. So he was asked to leave the room. And my dad was told by the therapist, she's not making this up. This is really what's going on. And this is why she's so depressed and she tried to commit suicide. Well, my dad didn't believe me because he believed my brother and thought something more was going on. Of course, I think it was just that he didn't want to admit his son would do that to his own sister.
yeah,
So I thought my dad had told my stepmom and he hadn't. But in my eyes, I was seeing that I didn't have any support at home because me and her never talked about it. So there's been a big gap in a home relationship.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I can. No, you're good. I can only imagine. But continue.
And I wanted to get out of that house so badly. So I ended up pregnant at 16. And after I had the baby, I moved in with the baby's dad and his family. Well, I got out of the house at least, and I had somebody that I could love, my daughter, And I can finish. My father was like, "You're not going to finish school now because you're pregnant, and this and that." Well, I proved him wrong. I still graduated from high school. I tried to keep my head on as straight as I could anyway.
Yeah,
So I was married to this man, the father of my children. I had 3 children. And we were together for 12 years. And he was very abusive. He would do it for the children. He didn't care if they were in the room. So I just thought, well, man, pain is just my life. That's what it's going to be all about. And um, finally, after the 12th year, I got out safely and I got into an apartment with me and my children. And then I was having trouble making it, single mom, only $8.50 an hour, bills. How am I going to provide Christmas for my children? I prayed about that. And I said, God, my children know that Christmas is not about the gifts. It's about Christmas is about Jesus' birth, and that's what we celebrate. But I really enjoy seeing the joy on their faces on Christmas morning when they see their gifts. And I can't afford that. I can't afford to make a living on. I'm running paycheck to paycheck and behind on every bill. So, I believe in earth angels. And I believe that God sent an earth angel because I had a doorbell. I had the doorbell ring one morning, and then when I got to the door, there was nobody there, but there was a bicycle and about two or three trash bags full of just toys and clothes. I was like, oh my goodness, thank you, God, thank you. So I took the step over to my best friend's, just lived next door, and hid it for Christmas. And a few days later, there was a knock at the door. And I opened the door, and there was this lady, and she had another bicycle and a couple more bags. I mean, I'm talking those big, huge uh, yard bags,
yeah,
you know, full of toys and clothes. And I said, "Did you bring some toys the other day?" And she said, "No, I just got this donated by an anonymous donor to bring to you from the church." It's like, oh, wow, thank you, God. Thank you for providing. I even had to put some of the toys away for like birthdays and stuff
yeah,
because it was way too much. It was a better Christmas than I could have given them even when I was married. So I got to see that joy on their faces, and then God answered my prayers. Well, that night we had an ice storm. The children had gone to their grandparents on their father's side, and we lost power and limbs were falling off of trees, and it was bad for like 2 weeks. And I ended up with pneumonia because I didn't have anywhere to go. Oh, I forgot. In between this time, my dad was murdered. So I thought my mom had something to do with it because she remarried awfully quick. And so we stopped having anything to do with each other. And I really didn't have any family. So I didn't have anywhere to go. So I was stuck in the apartment, with no electricity and no heat or anything. And had another archangel came by and visited me and took me to his home with he had gas, so I had hot water to take a bath, and he fixed me a meal, and he had his guest room all ready for me. It was like a brother to me, like a brother should be.
yeah,
Stayed a couple nights there, and then we were just gonna drive, around and check on things. And I saw my porch light on. So I was like, oh, I have power. You can take me back home. So I went home and, of course, had to clean up everything. You know how it is after you're without power.
Yeah.
And then the kids got to come back home to me. Well, a little after that, I joined the army. I thought I'm just going to get out of here,
Yeah.
make a life for me and the children. But that didn't go over either. God had other plans, unfortunately. I tore my ACL and did some more damage to my knee about 2 weeks before basic training graduation. I could even see the flag, it was the run, and I could see the flag. I was almost there. I was
Yeah.
almost done, and I fell out. So I had to go through surgery and physical therapy for that. Well, in physical therapy, I met someone that was in physical therapy as well. His neck was injured. We talked about Christianity and spiritual and what things have happened to us in life, and we really got close, become close friends. And so I got out before he did, and I gave him my information. I went to go live with my best friend and told him to give me a call when he got out. So he did. He lived in New York, and I thought, wow, I've always wanted to visit upstate New York. I've heard it was very beautiful. So my children were staying with their father at the time because I was living with my best friend. We really didn't have room. I was trying to get money for a home. I couldn't find a job though. My knee being injured.
Yeah.
So I went to upstate New York to visit, and I loved it so much. I even talked to a lady at a pharmacy that was willing to give me a job. And so I decided to go back home, get the children, move to upstate New York, start over. And everything went great for 4.5 years again. Um, this guy had never lifted a finger. He was always so laid back and calm. One night, we got into a little argument over our dogs. The next thing I knew, he hit me over the head with a ceramic bowl, fractured my skull. Now I nearly died. I was in the hospital for a month. I was out for 2 days solid, but that night I fought consciousness until my best friend from up there that I had met made it to my house. And when I saw her, I just went out. It was like I had to make sure my kids were okay before
Yeah.
I lost it. 2 days later, I woke up in the hospital and she was in my room and she said, "Well, good morning, sunshine." I was like, "How long have I been out?" She said, "2 days." It was like, where are my kids? She said, "They're at the preacher's house. Him and his family are taking care of them. They're fine." I was like, "Okay." I was in the hospital for a month. I got out. It was Thanksgiving time then, so I wasn't gonna be able to go home for a while because the victims advocate, had to do some paperwork and stuff to get me funds to get me home. Well, my ex mother in law, she flew my younger two kids home for Thanksgiving, and my oldest daughter stayed up there with me. And when it was after Thanksgiving, um, first part of December, so that they got me funding for a U-Haul and a trailer to pull my car. You know, they even flew someone from Texas up to drive us home because I had that fractured skull and I couldn't drive. Um, when I got home, a friend of mine that I've known since I was 5 years old, he helped us unload our U-Haul, get settled in, and I I never lost my faith. I questioned God throughout the years, but I never lost complete faith. and I saw him answer my prayers in ways like with those earth angels, you know. Um, and my friend that I had known since I was 5 years old, I had asked him to Sadie Hawkins dance in 10th grade, and he told me no. In 2000, when I divorced my husband, he asked me out, and I told him no. I said, "You had your chance in high school, and you said no, so I don't think that we're supposed to be together." But his mom even said, "Y'all make such a cute couple." And I'm like, "Trish, we're not a couple. We're just friends. We've always been friends. You know that." And she goes, "But one of these days, you know, you two are going to get together. Moms know best."
Hmm.
So 2008 is when I came home from New York. And about a month after I had gotten home, he, my friend Eugene, that I'd known since I was 5, asked me to come to his house and watch a movie. So I did, and when I was leaving, he walked me to my car and we mutually kissed. So I guess it was like a mutual, okay, it's time, we're supposed to be together, you know. And we have been happily married since 2010 now. And we moved away to Corpus Christi in 2013. We were there for 4.5 years, moved out onto the island, and that's where I was working. Our home was destroyed by Hurricane Harvey, so we had to move back home again. So I guess I'm supposed to be here with, I do have a little bit of family, and my kids too. Well, except for my son, he's in the military, but um, I guess and I forgave my stepmom, so we've been back talking since, I guess, 2005. So I didn't talk to her for about 8 years after my dad was killed. So my kids lost a big chunk of, you know, their lives with her. They didn't really get to know her as well as my oldest one did. But she's back in my life now, and I couldn't do I couldn't do it without her because about a year ago I got diagnosed with a terminal neurological disorder known as MSA, or multisystem atrophy, and it causes your autonomic functions in your body to start shutting down. As far as first, just your mobility, so it kind of mimics Parkinson's. And I got diagnosed with Parkinson's first for a couple of years, but I wasn't um, reacting to the medicine like you're supposed to if you have Parkinson's. So then the neurologist said, "You didn't have to go see a movement disorder specialist. I don't think you have Parkinson's." It took me about 6 to 8 months to get in to see that movement disorder specialist. When I did, he spent 5 minutes with me. He said, "Well, you don't have Parkinson's. You have what I believe is MSA. And you, it is very rare that only 4 out of every 100,000 people in the U.S. are diagnosed with it." And I'm in my about 4.5 year now, and life expectancy is about 5 to 7 years.
Gotcha.
So my husband, he had to quit working about a year ago, this month, a year ago, and he's had to be 100% my caretaker. I can't walk unassisted. Um, I can't even brush my hair or wash my hair, go to the bathroom by myself. I'm completely reliable on him. Hospice, even, well, my doctor put me on palliative care. And they call it hospice and they came out, but I said I just want to stay on palliative for now.
Gotcha. So I do have one question. Where do you think you would be at right now if you didn't have your faith? Like if you didn't have your belief in God, if you weren't redeemed and saved by Christ, where would you be at, like mentally, do you think?
Oh, I would be uh, probably not here.
Fair enough,
If
fair enough.
if not here, then I would be a basket case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause that's kind of like the whole idea behind the gospel effect is like where you were versus where you are kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, and so like I want to see like that perspective. Like when I look at you, I see someone who, by the grace of God, has made it as far as you have. Like
Yes,
like you couldn't do it aside from the strength that God provides.
exactly. And I so believe that I've gone through those things to make me strong and make me strong enough to handle this disorder because it is such a rare, stressful, and depressing condition, And I do see well, I don't see her. I talk to her on the phone every week, a Christian counselor, and I have been talking to her now for 5 years, and she really helps me through a lot of it.
That's good. And so like I know a lot of like what you're trying to do is raise awareness for MSA. What would you say to one of the few people who might watch this who is also battling MSA?
Just pray, um, keep a journal, find someone that you can talk to because I know that everybody that I've spoken with that does have it is it goes through depressing times. You go through your frustrations and your aggravations and you take it out on your caretaker. Um, Join MSA support groups on Facebook. That has made a world of difference for me. Finding other people that do have the condition. And yes, I wrote my book um, to help with that, to help create awareness for MSA as well as inspire others to have faith in God because you can get through whatever's in front of you because He never puts you through more than you can handle. And if you're going through something, it's because He put you there, or He may have put you in a circumstance because you're on the wrong track to get your attention, so to speak.
Kind of like
But
a Jonah situation.
yeah, or even Job is what I think, a lot of times. And just to test your faith, maybe. But, and then as far as MSA, I want to donate 10% of all the proceeds from my book to MSA for charity researching for a cure.
Okay, and then what for the audience? What is your book called?
It is called Unexpected Moments, and it would not exist had it not been for Kirk Cameron.
Okay,
It does have a forward by him. And I was supposed to go, when I went to the doctor and got diagnosed, he told me to enjoy life the best I could and to do things while I can because there will become a time when, you can't do as much as you can now. So I was going to go to Vermont and see that friend that helps me, and I got assaulted. And she came down with COVID. So we were driving home from physical therapy one day, and my husband said on the marquee, it said Kirk Cameron was coming to that church next week. He asked me if I would like to go there since we couldn't go to Vermont, and I was like, yeah, I would love to go see him. So he told me to call my mom. Like I said, she's my stepmom, but I call her mom because she's the only mom I've known. And asked her if she wanted to go with me. And she did, so we went. And I told Kurt, well, after my diagnosis, I got a vision from God that said, "My child, your time is near, but you must tell your story from the beginning." God, he's one day you will, but
Yeah.
he wasn't wrong. But Kirk Cameron, VIP, so we got to get our pictures taken with him. And these gentlemen were so he went and got him, and Kirk came over to me and he said, "Can I pray for you?" And I said, "Of course you can." So he knelt down and grabbed my hands and he prayed for me. And then I told him what God had told me. And he said, "Well, how do you plan on sharing your story?" And I said, "I don't know what I'm supposed to do or how I'm supposed to do it." He said, "Why don't you write a book? I think you should write a book." I said, "Well, I've only written a poem in my whole life. I'm not a writer." He said, "Well, just pray about it and ask God to give you the words, and He will." And that was in last October. January, he told me to keep him updated and gave me his email address. And so I did. And then January 23rd, I finished writing. I devoted about 2 or 3 hours a day on just writing. And he asked me to send him my manuscript, and I did. And about a week later, he sent me a forward.
It's
And
cool.
in March, it was published, so it happened pretty quickly.
Yeah, that is definitely awesome. I can tell how God's been working in your life, even through the hard stuff, which I can imagine is like essentially what your book is about. How God's gotten you through like the hard stuff. Um, so yeah. Is there any way like listeners or viewers can like get a hold of you at all, or like where's your book for sale at, stuff like that?
Yes, my book is for sale at Xlibris, XLIBRIS.com. And you can go to their bookstore and just type in Unexpected Moments by Daisy Paige and it'll pull it up for you. You can purchase it there. Or you can go. So they didn't give me too much bandwidth a month for my website, but it's unexpected-moments.com. And I'm on Facebook as Daisy Paige, author.
Okay. And then I will make sure to put links in the description below for anybody who wants to visit that. Um, but yeah, any parting words before we end today?
Yeah, I always like to say, don't take life for granted because you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. my mother and my real mother and my dad were in an argument when she got killed. And so my dad always said, "Don't go to bed angry, and never leave the house without being mad or without an 'I love you.'" One day you may be able to walk or climb 11 flights of stairs 3 times a day, like I did. You could do yoga every day. You could run a mile on the beach every day. And then one day you can barely walk at all and do the basic necessity tasks that you have to do, is brushing your hair and washing your hair, brushing your teeth and things. And if I could go back, I would thank God every day for allowing me to be able to do those things. Now I just thank Him for every day, for giving me another day. I just wrote a second book, and I'm waiting for my daughter to finish the cover. She painted the cover of Unexpected Moments. So when she gets it finished painting, um, it should probably be coming out within the next couple of months. It's called Beyond Heaven's Gates. Um, After this book was released, I started having dreams, about 2 or 3 a month, and every one of them picked up where they left off, so it was like a movie to me or whatever. So I knew that was God showing me glimpses of heaven, what it's all about. And He wants me to share that because the world is becoming a very crazy, hectic place right now, and people are really not believing in heaven. And He needs to show people that there is an everlasting life after this world, and not stop believing and hold on to your faith.
So, how amazing is that? That she has hope even in the midst of this disease, and we speak against that disease in Jesus' name, first of all. But, like, I can't imagine having to go through that. And, like, her response is different because of her faith. And so if you are listening to this or watching this and you're not sure about this God that we're talking about or about this Jesus that we've talked about, I encourage you to look after Him and just ask God to show you that He's real. And I promise you, He